Been having people trying to bail the guy out, Keefy D, because he talking too much. Raising him, trying to do stuff for Puffy because they say he talking too much.
So we feeling like it's gonna be alright until we go to the hospital and see that it ain't alright. He got tubes in him, and it's like when I walked in, I could just feel like he wasn't even there, and I fainted.
Only way you have a radio, if you was at the fight with us and you had a two, we always go to the fight together. We always go to the club together.
Snoop Dogg's name has just been pulled into the Tupac case, and this time, it's coming straight from federal investigators. New evidence has surfaced, and Suge Knight has dropped shocking receipts that could rewrite everything we thought we knew. The whispers have been there for years, but now the pieces are starting to fit together. Could one of hip-hop's biggest icons be more involved than we ever imagined? Snoop Dogg and Suge Knight's history is one of the wildest in hip-hop, but to truly understand how they went from tight allies to bitter enemies, we have to rewind to the early days of Death Row Records. Back then, Death Row wasn't just a label, it was an empire. Suge was the king, Dr. Dre was the mastermind producer, and Snoop was the golden boy, a lanky kid from Long Beach with a smooth flow and undeniable street cred. His debut album Doggy Style dropped in '93 and instantly took over the industry. Behind the success was Suge, larger than life, always in a suit, always puffing a cigar, looking like he walked straight out of a mob movie. He wasn't just feared, he was respected. Rolling with Suge meant you were untouchable. But power breeds greed. At first, Snoop was fine with it. He was making money, dropping hits, and Death Row was on top of the world. But then came a case. Snoop got arrested in connection to a gang-related crime, and his trial dragged on, putting his career in limbo. But once he was acquitted in '96, everything started shifting. Death Row wasn't the same. Dre had already walked away.
Tupac took it as if I wasn't down with him.
By '97, Snoop had dropped The Dogfather, but the album had a major difference. Dr. Dre wasn't involved at all. If you listen closely, you can hear the shift. The whole album sounded like a farewell to the gangsta lifestyle that Death Row thrived on. And that's exactly what it was. Snoop wanted out, but leaving Suge Knight wasn't like quitting a regular job. This wasn't just a contract, it was life or death. Snoop had to move quickly. That's when Master P entered the picture. The No Limit Records mogul had money, power, and most importantly, a different way of doing business. Unlike Suge, who ran Death Row like a dictatorship, Master P educated his artists on business. Seeing the contrast, Snoop took the leap, signing with No Limit in '98, but not before throwing some parting shots. Years later, he straight up called Suge the devil and credited Master P with saving his life. Suge wasn't happy. He believed he made Snoop who he was, and seeing him thrive without him, that stung. For years, even behind bars, Suge still tried to flex, but Snoop wasn't afraid anymore. By the early 2000s, Snoop had full control of his career. He even dropped Pimp Slapped, one of the most savage diss tracks ever, clowning Suge's prison status. Suge was livid, Death Row was crumbling, and now Snoop was treating him like a relic of the past. In 2002, things almost turned violent at the Vibe Awards, until, of all people, Steve Harvey stepped in to play peacekeeper. 2 years later, Dr. Dre got sucker punched at the same event, with many suspecting it was a setup by Suge. By 2013, something changed. Snoop, now older, wiser, and deep into his weed and funk music era, started reflecting on his past. Surprisingly, he no longer had bad blood with Suge. In an interview with Vlad TV, he even gave Suge credit. Then in 2018, fate brought them together in Vegas. Despite years of beef, they actually had a conversation, and Snoop forgave him. The war was over. By the time Suge was sentenced to 28 years for a fatal hit and run in 2018, Snoop had already made peace with the past. And in true full-circle fashion, when Snoop took ownership of Death Row Records in 2022, the first thing he did was dedicate a song to Suge called Bygones Be Bygones. In a Breakfast Club interview, Snoop explained it was never really about hate. It was about control. Suge wanted to mold him, but Snoop wasn't the type to be put on a leash. But just when we thought this chapter was over, Suge is back with new accusations. He's now claiming that Snoop, Dr. Dre, and Diddy are part of some secret society. Given what we now know about Diddy, it doesn't sound too far-fetched. According to Suge, when artists start painting their nails and rocking more feminine fashion, it's a sign that they've been claimed by the industry. Suge even referenced an old award show where Andre Harrell gifted Diddy an expensive watch in front of everyone, calling it a confession of love. In his mind, these moments weren't just acts of generosity. They were signs of something much deeper. Of course, Snoop didn't take the accusation seriously. Instead of firing back with a long-winded response, he simply reacted with a crying laughing emoji and a shrug. But let's talk about Snoop and Tupac. While they were both stars under death row, their relationship wasn't perfect. Tupac was fiery and aggressive, fully committed to the East Coast versus West Coast war. Snoop? He had love for both sides, which Pac didn't take well. Just days before Tupac was shot, Snoop publicly stated in an interview that he had no beef with Biggie or Puffy. Pac felt betrayed. Even Suge later confirmed that Pac was furious after hearing Snoop's interview. On the night of September 7, 1996, when Tupac and Suge were shot in Las Vegas, Snoop was nowhere to be found. He had skipped the Mike Tyson fight, a fight that was highly publicized and where tensions were at their peak. Suge has long suggested that Snoop knew something was about to happen and intentionally stayed away. Then there's the hospital visit. Suge claims Snoop never visited Tupac, while Snoop has publicly stated multiple times that he did. Suge isn't buying it. Fast forward to today, and Suge is still not letting up. In a recent interview with The Art of Dialogue, he claims Snoop has been secretly working to bail out Keefe D, the man accused of playing a key role in Tupac's murder. Suge even hinted that Snoop might be worried about what Keefe D could reveal. This is where things get serious. Reports suggest that federal investigators are looking into Snoop's connections with Keefe D. If any financial ties or communication records emerge, it could open up a whole new chapter in the Tupac case. Snoop, however, isn't fazed. When he caught wind of Suge's claims, he responded with a simple but cutting remark. "This ninja won't stop talking about me. Mad 'cause I own death row."